Hey everyone, so today we're going to tackle the subject of essay writing. This is going to be the first in a series of videos about various aspects of essay writing. They're mostly going to be aimed at high school or secondary school literature response essays, but there are also going to be some things that I think work across the board regardless of the level or subject that you might be writing your essays for. Today we're going to begin with the idea of purpose and preparation. It is really important that before you write a single word of your essay that you have a clear idea of what your purpose is. Typically when we're writing an essay response for high school English, our purpose is going to be derived from a question. We're posed with a question that we need to respond to. So that's going to be one of the things that really helps us understand our purpose. Some really basic things to consider when you are figuring out your purpose. The first one is that I would always say the purpose overall at a very basic level of an essay is not to prove that you know a text, a piece of literature, not that you have read it or viewed it, whatever it may be, but actually that you understand an aspect of it. That's why many essays that I see that are very low level essays, they spend most of their time retelling the plot, describing things that might not relate to the question, and while there might be one or two good ideas in there, the essay is always going to be limited. So one, make sure that you're showing an understanding of the text rather than just proving that you know the text, that you've read it, that you understand the plot. The second main thing that I would say if you're trying to work at a higher level is not only that you have understood it, but that you have created some kind of new meaning, that you've interpreted it in a different way. You're going to offer some new kind of understanding rather than just rehashing something that someone else has come up with before. Now you might be asking yourself, how am I as a high school English student, how am I going to offer a new understanding on, let's say, To Kill a Mockingbird, Lord of the Flies, Brave New World, Lord of the Rings, these books that have been studied generation after generation, and there are university level students and even professors who have written essays on those texts. How are you going to provide a new perspective? Well, the key to this is to remember that you are part of the first group writing this response to this text in 2017, 2018, whenever you're writing it, and you need to consider how this text might be interpreted differently based on that. Very few people would have written an essay about this topic in the age of social media, in the age of President Trump. You need to think about how this text can be interpreted in the modern age. Hopefully that will help you offer some new insight into that subject. One thing that I would urge you to consider is how attitudes within our society may have changed towards certain topics or aspects of the text that you've studied, whether it be at a social level, whether it be at a political level, different things you can discuss regarding gender, religion, race, social inequality. All of those things can be looked at in different ways. A good example would be something like Brave New World or 1984. When those texts were first written, it was an imagined future, something way off in the distance, something that perhaps we were heading towards. And now many of those things have become a reality, maybe in a slightly different way or maybe in the exact way. That's something for you to consider and to comment on when you're writing your essays or when you're considering what the point of your essay actually is. The next thing is to consider how you are going to express this purpose, and this is where a very fundamental part of essay writing comes in, and that's this idea of a central thesis. This is a really important aspect of your essay that you will need to consider when you are preparing, when you are planning. You will need to come up with a statement, a phrase, a sentence that really sums up the entire argument of your essay within that one sentence. And that is your central thesis. It is your argument summed up. And everything that you say in your essay should be aimed at supporting that, developing that. Anything else that is irrelevant to that central thesis doesn't further your argument, and therefore it is not adding to it. Your essay becomes unfocused. So once you've decided on your purpose, you can go ahead and start planning. Again, number one, get that central thesis done. But one of the things that you might actually need to do to get there is to look at some keywords that come up in the question that you're responding to. So that would be an essential part of your planning. Actually, I'd go in and identify what are the key aspects that this question is asking me to comment on. So it could be to do with character. It could be to do with setting. It could be to do with language techniques. It could be to do with structure, symbolism. The list goes on and on. Usually it'll be one or two of those things that you will need to focus on. So identify those, brainstorm some ideas that are specific to the text that you're using to support your ideas, and then you will have a really clear idea of what's actually going to fill that space. What are you going to use as your evidence? What parts are you going to touch on? And again, it will help you develop some sense of structure, which is the other important part of your planning. When considering the structure, particularly with the main body paragraphs of your essay, it might be a real temptation just to deal with things in the order that they come up in the text that you're responding to. But what you want to make sure of is that as you go through each main body paragraph, you're able to develop ideas. And sometimes it doesn't always work out that you're describing things and using evidence in the order that they appear in the text. You are putting them into an order that helps you to elaborate, to compare and contrast, to show more insight into that issue the further you get into that essay, so that you're actually able to build on an idea the further you get into an essay rather than just repeating it. So think of the logical structure and order for those main body paragraphs, and then you can begin writing with a really clear idea and understanding of what your purpose is and the order in which those ideas are going to be developed. So let's just do a really quick recap of the things that we've discussed. Firstly, make sure you have a really clear purpose before you begin writing your essay, that you know what point you're trying to make. Secondly, you want to prepare the structure and also make sure that you're incorporating keywords from the essay. Make sure you're focusing on the aspects that that question requires of you. So perhaps do a couple of brainstorms based around those aspects coming from those keywords, and then you can start to put it into a logical order that helps you to develop an idea. Right, so more videos coming soon with further tips and ideas about how to write effective essays. Hope that's been a help. Catch you next time.